How long have you been working on this?
It's been about half a year.
Okay, terrific. So, just in case the class is curious, the way we're doing it is I'm taking 12, 13 minutes, and then my brother will take the next part of the class, just for this first performance of the Ginastera. I think it's really very, very brilliantly played. You know, it's very exciting. There's a lot of intensity to your playing. The excitement is very good. I think, you know, whenever you're playing something like this, that's marked allegro marcato, and then he writes nothing but lots of fortes and fortissimos and stuff, but maybe we can think about layers of sonority. And so I think that was something that my brother thought that he might talk about, so I think I might address something else. Within the idea of playing loudly is the idea of clarity. And so I hear volume, and I hear lots of chord clusters, but I'm not quite sure I'm understanding always the voicing of those particular chords. And it's mostly, you know, tops. We could have more of them. And so when you have lots of double notes together, you just have to make sure that... So I need a little bit more of that clarity. So just being conscious of the fact that the piano is always louder than the left hand. So you're playing both hands equally. The right hand doesn't have a chance, especially these textures. So let's keep that in mind. The other thing that I think you might want to think about is the changing, shifting meters that occur here. And I read that Ginastera, he was talking about the performance of this first movement, and he stressed very clearly that the eighth notes are all constant. And because the meters are always shifting, he said there should be no rubato, there should be no time taking. Now, there are places where that's asking a lot because the leaps are kind of crazy. And so we can maybe finesse those a little bit, but you're actually adding extra beats to like a 5-bar, and it sounds like 6, and so then we lose you know, the sense of the meter shifting, which is part of the excitement. And you kind of round off the edges by squaring off all of this. So, irregular grouping. So, I think that may be something we could look at. I also think that in terms of some of the dynamics, and I'm going to make some adjustments myself in some of these, but if he marks forte for the first 8 bars, and then he marks mezzo forte for 3 bars, and then back to forte, you diminuendo into the mezzo forte, and I don't know that we need to. You're always relaxing there. It is a slur, you know, but I don't know that we need to. And the problem with that is that there's so much sound accumulated before you get to the cadence that I actually don't hear the cadence. And so I would keep it up. Maybe you can give in attitude, but not so much sound. How do you practice those leaps? Okay. One thing that I kind of noticed is that your eyes don't move until you're actually there. If your hands are already right, you don't actually have to be watching your right hand. And 99% of the time, if you see the notes before you play, you're going to play them. Right? So you won't miss the leap. But that could, I don't always get the fact that it's a canon. So it's also the voicing of that. So again, maybe voicing thumbs, which is, for me, it's a good way to have more clarity. Okay, so let's take it from the top. Okay, so you know where those notes are.
Right.
Yeah, even though it's a 2-note slur, but I wouldn't. Yeah, don't let the sound on the top. that he's very particular with the slurs. And he said that if you see slurs, legato, everything else is non-legato.
Okay.
And then if it's non-legato in the fortes, they become marcato.
Okay.
So we want this to be drier. Right? And not softer, but it doesn't want to be light. There's a sort of still intensity of bite. And the rhythm of that left hand is really intense as well. Right on the fourth, next one. Up, up, up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up, up, up. Again, it breaks up the rhythm aspect of it. Okay, let's keep going. Repeated chords always want to go someplace. So it's a little bit more direction. That's okay. But if you go then I think we're in trouble. All right. I know we have so little time. Could you give me the B's going? That's what to do with two hands. I never thought of that. But if you do it with the two hands, can you make sure that it's not so loud at the bottom that we can actually hear it? I'm going to go all the way to the top. Yes, and can you use since you split up your hands, use that as a pickup. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Yeah.
I just wanted something different because these two have basically the same motion and direction. Maybe. Maybe.
He does say, stay loud.
Okay.
The diminuendo happens 2 bars later, or the bar later. So what I'm thinking is that ya ba 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 bum, ya ba 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 dum, ya ba 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 ba. It's actually 2 shorts in the long.
Okay.
So we don't get the long, at least effectively the way I'd like to hear it. So can you do the 2 shorts? Yeah. Just try it at home. I like that better for my ear, just to have that continuation. And that's what he's setting up. It stops, and then it goes. So, for my taste anyway. Agitato? on to my brother, who's going to take you from the second theme. Age before beauty. By 2 minutes. Anyway. Oh yeah, you have yours. It's, as I was, I agree with everything that my brother has said up until this point. There was one thing I wanted to add at the beginning, and then I promise we do get to the second thing. When you have this opening idea, what I feel is that you set it up. You can always come back just a little bit. So there's always a drive. You know, when I studied with Mr. Pressler in Indiana, he always used to say, if there was a repeated note, he said, how many E's do you have? Yeah, I can have a lot of them. Bum, bum, ba, bum. Bum, 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 ba, bum. So that there's a little bit more drive. Sometimes also the tempo got a little bit away from, at least for me, so the allegro started to get maybe a little bit faster. So sometimes I count 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, so that you can keep the integrity of the eighth notes all the way through. And my brother was talking about how there shouldn't be any deviation from that. So sometimes counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 will keep that in line instead of 1, 2, and da da. Sometimes that also gets away. So let's go to the second thing now. I liked what he was talking about with this. The dolce, what does that mean? You know, I ask my students this all the time. So I hope you have a good answer. Yes, that's the same answer they always give me too. Yes, it means sweet. But how do you translate that into a sound or a character?
Liquid, fluid.
Yeah. If I said espressivo, then what would you say?
Then I would take more time.
Could be flexibility of rhythm. It also means to me warmth. And so the espressivo, sometimes to me, you have a beautiful sound, but there's a warmth of texture. When I'm thinking of dolce, I think of it as a concentration of beauty on a single idea. A little bit thinner texture, something that has a little bit more transparency. So warmth for espressivo, transparency for dolce. That's just my thing. So when you get to the second theme, we've had all of this really thick kind of feeling. So when you get to this, I would like for you to give me a little bit more sound in your right hand. You play this piano, but you take away substance from the melody. I'd rather it be a little bit fuller and the left hand a little bit more quiet. So if you can find the same volume, but you're redistributing your sound a little bit. So a little bit more on the top. Yeah. That's the idea. So when you have this also, the left hand is simpler. Then the second time, you have just a little bit more of this kind of thing. Can you show me that elaboration a little bit? So simple and a little cleaner sounding. A beautiful phrase there. I'd like to have you do it one more time. Can you show me the registers a little bit more? That's the idea. Good. Now, in this, he also has this beautiful, you know, I keep saying this to my students, I read everything with my eyes as much as possible. Whenever there's a repetition, good composers will tell us how to change it. So here, of course, we look with our eyes. Oops, where did it go? I cannot do this technology stuff. When you're in that upper register, then you see it in octave lower, you see it in octave lower. Obviously, the sound has to change. So we change our touch to find what is inherent in that registration. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the dynamics are not the same. Can you show me how? Just by playing? Yeah, it's not quite right. So you have a hairpin the first time. Second time. What's the third time? There's no diminuendo. And it's a much longer crescendo. So if you're going to crescendo over 2 bars and diminuendo, if you're going to crescendo and diminuendo over 2 bars, but then you have 4 bars, that crescendo is slower and longer, and it actually reaches a further point, I think. So it's all in there, so let's see if we can find it. So we have it. This actually shows us that metric period. You have the 2 bars, and then 3 in this case instead of 4. But the idea of that extension is already in there. So if we do what's there, of course we have to understand why it's there. But then musically it just makes sense to me. Yeah? Okay. When you finish this phrase, again, just enough time to get to the new register. Again, as my brother was saying, life is not always comfortable, so we have to see. I like what you do with this. The first time now, can you show me that maybe this is a piccolo instead of a flute or something like that? So there's a different timbre. For me, I think it would be a little bit brighter, at least for me. Sometimes in this crescendo, I'm hearing a rhythm. Can it just be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in this crescendo? And then sing. Yeah, that's okay. That's right. Can we start from here? Very good. Very good. This color, I actually liked what you did the first time when you took a lot of time. It's good. You should. Okay. We have to show the change between the A there and the B flat here. So I didn't mean to intimidate you from taking time. I think in this case it would be warranted. Can we try it from here? Now, many times in this kind of dramatic moment where you see octaves and you go, it's only to 1 forte, and it's a crescendo. Can you start softer and not get so big so soon? And that's more exciting than just being way out there. White on the collar. One more time, please. Make sure that goes right. So it's a little bit cute for me. It's molto marcato. It's playful, yes, but when you do this, within a forte, maybe that's too much. But somehow it feels a little bit lighthearted, and I'm not sure that's that way. The one thing I do agree with is that you're saving so that when you get to the B flats, you can be bigger. So I understand why you did that, but just make sure it doesn't feel playful. This is very good. It does say violent, which is perfect. What happens? You play the first note so loud, at least when I was sitting here through the first time, I couldn't hear the second 8 note very clearly. So, punctuating, not that way. Make sure the release of the first 8 note is really fast. And more, think equal, equal, equal. One every time. That's what you're doing. Can you hold back? Maybe each crescendo just one step further than the other. I think that it would be allowable. Let's try it here. Right. Oh, there's no guitar and there's no rest. So yada pa 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 yada. And then what is the marking here? What was it the first time?
Piano.
I didn't hear any difference between those two when you did it the first time. So you can take the energy, yada bada bada, yada da dee da da, so that you don't have to wait. You're actually continuing this sound that you've had before. Maybe the last of those. If your left hand gets too involved, it takes away from that. So just be careful. Sing a little bit more. Then this time it's ya-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. So somehow it has to be. So don't use pedal on the downbeat. If you do, then it's going to make it sound like a slur. So da-da-da-da-da-pa-pa-pa-pa-pa. Try from the slur first. Very fine job.
Okay.